Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day. Don't forget, grab your smartphone and download the Lava Matra app and stay in touch. Guru Mahārāja's message is your advantage. The following is a Sri Kṛṣṇa Caitanya book compilation given by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Mahārāja on July 29th, 2022 in Sri Mayapur, India.
Shri Gurum Deenatarinam Shri Caitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, today we will continue with the compilation of the Sri Kṛṣṇa Caitanya book. Today's chapter is entitled The Prostitute Becomes a Celebrated Devotee, under the section The Glories of Haridas Thakur. Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela 3.119.
আর দিন রাত্রি হইল বিষাইল হরিদাস তারে বহু আশ্বাস করিল।
The next night, when the prostitute came again, Haridas Thakur gave her many assurances. Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela 3.120.
কালি দুঃখ পাইলা অপরাধ না লইবাম অবশ্য করিম আমি তোমায় অঙ্গীকার।
Last night you were disappointed. Please excuse my offense. I shall certainly accept you.
On this night, Haridas Thakur was reassuring the prostitute.
Haridas Thakur was reassured. Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela 3.121.
তাবৎ ইহা বসি শুন নাম সংকীর্তন, নাম পূর্ণ হইলে পূর্ণ হবে তোমার মন।
Please sit down and hear the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra until my regular chanting is finished. Then your desire will surely be fulfilled.
So the prostitute listened to Haridas Thakur's chanting.
So the prostitute, she listened to Haridas Thakur's chanting the whole night. Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela 3.122.
তুলসীরে তাকে বিশ্ব নমস্কার করি, দ্বারে বসি নাম শুনে বলে হরি 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 হরি।
After offering her obeisances to the Tulsi plant and Haridas Thakur, she sat down at the door. Hearing Haridas Thakur chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, she also chanted,
Oh my Lord Hari!
Oh my Lord Hari!
Oh my Lord Hari!
Oh my Lord Hari! Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Herein one can clearly see how a Vaishnava delivers a fallen soul by transcendental trick. The prostitute came to pollute Haridas Thakur, but he took it as his duty to deliver the prostitute. As clearly demonstrated here, the process of deliverance is very simple. With faith and reverence, the prostitute associated with Haridas Thakur, who personally treated her material disease by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Although the prostitute had an ulterior motive, somehow or other she got the association of a Vaishnava and satisfied him by occasionally chanting in imitation, Oh my Lord Hari, Oh my Lord Hari. The conclusion is that associating with the Vaishnava, chanting the holy name of the Lord, and offering obeisances to the Tulsi plant or a Vaishnava all lead one to become transcendental devotee who is completely cleansed of all material contamination.
Saying in Chaitanya Charitamrita,
There is a saying in Chaitanya Charitamrita,
Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Shastra Goy, Bhava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha.
সাধু সঙ্গ সর্বশাস্ত্র কয় লহে মাত্র সাধু সঙ্গ সর্বসিদ্ধি।
So, on Haridas Thakur carrying the prostitute, listen to the Hare Krishna mantra.
by Haridas Thakur having the prostitute listen to the Hare Krishna mantra,
She was being purified,
she was being purified,
but she may not have realized it.
even though she may not have realized it. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ante Leela 3.123.
রাত্রি শেষ হইল বেশ্যা উসমিস করে তার রীতি দেখি হরিদাস কহে ন তাহারে।
When the night came to an end, the prostitute was restless. Seeing this, Haridas Thakur spoke to her as follows. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ante Leela 3.124.
ঠাকুর হরিদাসের স্বীয় মহামন্ত্র দীক্ষা বর্ণন ও দৈক্য ব্রাহ্মণতা কোটি নাম গ্রহণ যজ্ঞ করি এক মাসে এই দীক্ষা করিয়াছি হইল আসি শেষে।
I have vowed to chant 10 million names in a month. I have taken this vow, but now it is nearing its end. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. If one regularly chants 333,333 names daily for a month, 30 days, and then chant 10 more names, he will thus chant 10 million names. In this way, a devotee worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such worship is called yajna. Yajnai sankirtana praye yajantihi sumedasaha. Those whose intelligence is brilliant accept this Harinama Yajna, the yajna of chanting the holy name of the Lord. By performing this yajna, one satisfies the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus attains perfection in spiritual life. According to external vision, Haridas Thakur belonged to a Muslim family. Nevertheless, because he engaged himself in performing the yajna of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he became regularly initiated Brahmana, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 3.33.6. If a devotee comes from a family of dog eaters, if he surrenders to the personality of Godhead, he immediately becomes a qualified Brahmana and is immediately fit to perform yajna. Whereas a person born in a family of Brahmana has to wait until completing the reformatory processes before he may be called as a Samskrita or purified. It is further said in Srimad Bhagavatam 12.1.40, in the age of Kali, mlechas or low-born people who have not undergone the purifying process of samskara, who do not know how to apply that process in actual life, and who are covered by the modes of passion and ignorance, will take the post of administrators. They will devour the citizens with their atheistic activities. A person who is not purified by the prescribed process of samskara is called asamskrita. But if one remains kriyahina even after being purified by initiation, in other words, if one fails to actually apply the principles of purity in his life, he remains an unpurified mlecha or yavana. On the other hand, we find that Haridas Thakur, although born in a mlecha or yavana family, he became Namacharya Haridas Thakur because he performed the Nama Yajna a minimum of 300,000 times every day. Herein we find that Haridas Thakur strictly followed his regulative principle of chanting 300,000 names. Thus, when the prostitute became restless, he informed her that first he had to finish his chanting and then he would be able to satisfy her. Actually, Haridas Thakur chanted the holy name of the Lord for 3 nights continuously and gave the prostitute a chance to hear him. Thus she became purified as will be seen in the following verses.
So, Jayapataka was having the prostitute listen to his chanting.
So Haridas Thakur was having the prostitute to listen to his chanting.
That was his transcendental trick.
That was his transcendental trick.
By hearing him chanting with him, she became purified.
That by hearing chant and chanting with him, she became purified. Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela 3.125.
আজি সমাপ্ত হইবে হেন জ্ঞান ছিল সমস্ত রাত্রি নীল নাম সমাপ্ত না হইল
I thought that today I would be able to finish my performance of Yajna, my chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. I tried my best to chant the holy name all night but still did not finish. Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela 3.126.
খালি সমাপ্ত হইবে তবে হবে ব্রত ভঙ্গ স্বচ্ছন্দে তোমার সঙ্গে হইবে সঙ্গ
Tomorrow I will surely finish and my vow will be fulfilled. Then it will be possible for me to enjoy with you in full freedom. Prepared by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Haridas Thakur never wanted to enjoy the prostitute, but he tricked her to deliver her by giving her a chance to hear the holy name of the Lord while he chanted. Pure devotees chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and simply by hearing this chanting from a purified transcendental person, one is purified of all sinful activities, no matter how low-born or fallen one may be. As soon as one is thus completely free from the reactions of sinful activities, he is eligible to render devotional service to the Lord. This is the process for engaging the fallen souls in devotional service. As Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7.28, Esham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvanta moha nirmukta bhajante mam tridhaprataha. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination.
So, holiness practice of engaging conditioned souls,
So following this practice and engaging the conditioned souls,
chanting, hearing the Maha Mantra,
in chanting and hearing the Maha Mantra,
and doing some devotional service
and doing some devotional service,
to the A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he delivered thousands of devotees all over the world.
Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, he delivered thousands of devotees all over the world. Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela 3.127.
দেশাগিয়া সমাচার খানে রে কহিল আর দিন সন্ধ্যা হইতে ঠাকুর ঠাই আইল
The prostitute returned to Ramachandra Khan and informed him of what had happened. The next day she came earlier at the beginning of the evening and stayed with Haridas Thakur. Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela 3.128.
তুলসীকে ঠাকুরকে নমস্কার করি দ্বারে বসি নাম শুনে বলে হরি হরি
Hare Hare!
হরি হরি
After offering obeisances to the Tulsi plant and Haridas Thakur, she sat down on the threshold of the room. Thus she began to hear Haridas Thakur chanting, and she also personally chanted
Hare Hare!
Hari Hari, the holy name of the Lord.
So by the association of Jayapatākā,
So by the association of Haridas Thakur,
with chanting the holy name of Hari.
he was chanting the holy name of Hari.
She also paid her obeisances to the plant
She also paid her obeisances to the Tulsi plant
and to Jayapatākā.
and to Haridas Thakur. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya-lila 3.129.
নাম পূর্ণ হবে আজি বলে হরিদাস তবে পূর্ণ করিম আজি তোমার অভিলাষ
Today it will be possible for me to finish my chanting. Haridas Thakur informed her. Then I shall satisfy all your desires.
No. Jayapatākā said he would satisfy her desire.
So Haridas Thakur said that he would satisfy her desires.
He will never be satisfied by any material sensual thing,
You can never be satisfied by any material sense gratification,
but will be satisfied by devotional service.
but we will be satisfied by devotional service. Haribol. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya-lila 3.130.
সাধু সঙ্গে বেশ্যার নির্ভেদ এবং ঠাকুরের কৃপা যাচ্ছেন কীর্তন করিতে হইছে রাত্রি শেষ হইল ঠাকুরের সনে বেশ্যার মন ফিরি গেল
The night ended while Haridas Thakur was chanting, but by his association the mind of the prostitute had changed. Haribol.
So, the association with the holy name and her,
So the association with the holy name
and her association with Jayapatākā
and her association with Haridas Thakur
finally changed her mind.
had finally changed her mind. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya-lila 3.131.
ধন্যবাদ হইয়া পরে ঠাকুর চরণে রামচন্দ্র খানের কথা কইল নিবেদনে
The prostitute, now purified, fell at the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur and confessed that Ramchandra Khan had appointed her to pollute him. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya-lila 3.132.
বেশ্যা হইয়া মই পাপ করিয়াছ অপার কৃপা করি করম ধমে নিস্তার
Because I have taken the profession of a prostitute, she said, I have performed unlimited sinful acts. My Lord, be merciful to me, deliver my fallen soul. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya-lila 3.133.
ঈশ্বর দেশি খানের প্রতি ঠাকুরের উপেক্ষামূলক উক্তি ঠাকুর কহে খানের কথা সব আমি জানি অজ্ঞ মূর্খ সে তারে দুঃখ নাহি মানি
Haridas Thakur replied, I know everything about the conspiracy of Ramachandra Khan. He is nothing but an ignorant fool. Therefore, his activities do not make me feel unhappy.
Jayapatākā knew everything.
So Haridas Thakur knew everything.
He was still compassionate to this prostitute
He was still compassionate to this prostitute
and trying to deliver her.
and was trying to deliver her. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya-lila 3.134.
বেশ্যার প্রতি কৃপা উদয় সেই দিন যাইতাম এই স্থান ছাড়িয়া 3 দিন রহিলাম তোমার নিস্তার লাগিয়া
On the very day Ramachandra Khan was planning his intrigue against me, I would have left this place immediately. But because you came to me, I stayed here for 3 days to deliver you.
So Jayapatākā remained there to deliver the prostitute.
What's the name?
Jayapatākā remained there for 3 days just to deliver the prostitute.
Haridas Thakur remained there for 3 days just to deliver the prostitute. Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Antya Lila 3.135.
বেশ্যা কর্তৃক স্বীয় উদ্ধার প্রার্থনা। বেশ্যা কহে কৃপা করি করহ উপদেশ, কি মোর কর্তব্য যাতে যায় ভব ক্লেশ।
The prostitute said, kindly act as my spiritual master. Instruct me in my duty by which I can get relief from material existence.
So the prostitute said that Jayapataka as a spiritual master.
So the prostitute accepted Haridas Thakur as a spiritual master.
Wanted to know what sadhana she should do
So I wanted to know what sadhana she should do
to be delivered from material conditioning.
to be delivered from the material conditioning. Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Antya Lila 3.136.
বেশ্যাকে সংসার ও সর্বস্ব ত্যাগ করিতে উপদেশ। ঠাকুর কহে ঘরের দ্রব্য ব্রাহ্মণে কর দান, এই ঘরে আসি তুমি করো বিশ্রাম।
Haridas Thakur replied, immediately go home and distribute to the brahmanas whatever property you have. Then come back to this room and stay here forever in Krishna consciousness. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Haridas Thakur's instruction that the prostitute should distribute the brahmanas all property she had at home is very significant. Haridas Thakur never advised the prostitute to give charity to the so-called Daridra Narayanas, poor Narayanas, or any other such persons. According to Vedic civilization, charity should be given to only the qualified Brahmana. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 18.42, Samodama Tapa Saucham Shantiram Arjavam Evacha Jnanam Vijnanam Astikyam Brahma Karma Swabhavajam. The Brahmanical qualifications are truthfulness, control of the senses and mind, tolerance, simplicity, knowledge, practical application of the transcendental knowledge in one's life, and full faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Persons engaged in pursuing spiritual understanding have no time to earn their livelihood. They depend completely on the mercy of the Lord, and who says in Bhagavad Gita 9.22 that He personally carries to them all their necessities. Yogakshema Vahamyaham. The Vedic civilization recommends that one give charity to Brahmanas and Sannyasis, not to so-called Daridra Narayanas. Narayana cannot be Daridra, nor can Daridra be Narayana, for these are contradictory terms. Atheistic men invent such concoctions and preach them to fools, but charity should actually be given to the Brahmanas and Sannyasis, because whatever money they get, they spend for Kṛṣṇa. Whatever charity one gives to a Brahmana goes to Kṛṣṇa, who says in the Bhagavad Gita 9.27, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. Everything actually belongs to Kṛṣṇa, but so-called civilized men unfortunately think that everything belongs to them. This is the mistake of materialistic civilization. The prostitute Vaishya had earned money by questionable means, and therefore Haridas Thakur advised her to distribute to the Brahmanas whatever she has possessed. When Srila Rupa Goswami retired from family life, he distributed 50% of his income to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, and a Brahmana knows what the absolute truth is, and a Vaishnava, knowing the absolute truth, acts on behalf of the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Generally, one earns money by many questionable means. Therefore, at some time one should retire and distribute whatever one has to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas who engage in devotional service by preaching the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So, so Prabhupada is instructed
So here Srila Prabhupada is instructing
how the ardent culture is to make
how the Aryan culture is to distribute the accumulated wealth to the qualified Brahmanas and Vaishnavas.
And he is also stated is the Lord of all wealth.
And he is also stating that Narayana is the Lord of all wealth.
He is Bhagavan, he has 6 qualities,
He has Bhagavan, he has 6 qualities,
one of which is all wealth.
one of which is all wealth.
It's not possible for Narayana, Bhagavan, is Daridra or poor.
It is impossible for Narayana or Bhagavan to be Daridra or poor.
So, someone has invented the statement Daridra Narayana
Someone has invented the statement Daridra Narayana
to indicate the poor people.
to
indicate
the poor people.
But, so Bhagavan, and this is improper.
But Srila Prabhupada is saying this is improper.
So, there is that Haridasa is instructing his disciple
So here we can see that Haridas Thakur is instructing his disciple
what to do.
what to do. Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela 3.137.
বৈষ্ণব সেবা ও নিরন্তর কৃষ্ণ কীর্তন ফলে নিরন্তর নাম লও কর তুলসী সেবন পাচি রাজ পাবে তবে কৃষ্ণের চরণ।
Chant the Hare Krishna mantra continuously and render service to the Tulsi plant by watering her and offering prayers to her. In this way, you will very soon get the opportunity to be sheltered at the lotus feet of Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. At least 5,000 years ago, Lord Sri Krishna expressed his desire that everyone should surrender to him. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Why is it that people cannot do this? Krishna assures, Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma suchaha. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions, do not fear. Everyone is suffering from the results of sinful activities, but Krishna says that if one surrenders unto him, he will protect one from sinful reactions. Modern civilization, however, is interested neither in Krishna nor in getting relief from sinful acts. Therefore, men are suffering. Surrender is the ultimate instruction of the Bhagavad Gita. But for one who cannot surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna, it is better to chant the Hare Krishna mantra constantly under the instruction of Haridas Thakur. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we are teaching our followers to chant the Hare Krishna mantra continuously on beats. Even those who are not accustomed to this practice are advised to chant at least 16 rounds on their beats so that they may be trained. Otherwise, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu recommended Trinadapi Sunichena Taroriva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sada Harihi. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than a straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree devoid of all sense-false prestige and ready to offer all respects to others. In such state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Sada means always. Haridas Thakur says, Nirantar Naam Love. Chant the Hare Krishna mantra without stopping. Although Krishna wants everyone to surrender to his lotus feet, because of people's sinful activities, they cannot do this. Namam duskritino muda prapatyante naradamaha. Rascals and fools, the lowest of men, who engage in sinful activities cannot suddenly surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna. Nevertheless, if they begin chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and rendering service to the Tulsi plant, they will soon be able to surrender. One's real duty is to surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna, but if one is unable to do so, he should adopt this process as introduced by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and his most confidential servant, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur. In this way, this is the way to achieve success in Krishna consciousness.
This Kayala is arranged in such a way
This Kali Yuga is arranged in such a way
that one is not desirous,
that even if one is not desirous,
they must engage engage in some sinful acts.
They must engage in some sinful acts.
They accumulate bad karma, makes them suffer.
And they accumulate bad karma and it makes them to suffer.
So, the process given by Jayapatākā,
So the process given by Haridas Thakur,
chanting Hare Krishna mantra
chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra
and worshipping the Tulsi plant
and worshipping the Tulsi plant
is a method which quickly purifies one.
it is a method which quickly purifies one. Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela 3.130.
বেশ্যাকে মহামন্ত্র দীক্ষা প্রদান এত বলি তারে না উপদেশ করি উঠিয়া চলিলা ঠাকুর বলি হরি হরি
After thus instructing the prostitute about the process of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, Haridas Thakur stood up and left, continuously chanting
Hare Hare!
Hari Hari. Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela 3.139.
বেশ্যার গুরুর আজ্ঞা পালন তবে সেই বেশ্যা গুরুর আজ্ঞা লইল গৃহবৃত্ত যেবা ছিল ব্রাহ্মণের দিল
Thereafter the prostitute distributed the brahmanas whatever household possessions he had, following the order of her spiritual master. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes the word grihavritti is substituted for the word grihavitta. Vritti means profession, quote unquote. The grihavritti of the prostitute was to enchant foolish people and induce them to indulge in sex. Here, however, grihavritti is not a suitable word. The proper word is grihavitta, which means all the possessions she had in her home. All the girls' possessions had been earned by the professional prostitution and were therefore products of her sinful life. When such possessions are given to Brahmanas and Vaishnavas who can engage them in the service of the Lord because of their advancement in spiritual life, this indirectly helps the person who gives the charity, for he is thus relieved from sinful reactions. As Krishna promises, Aham tvam sarva pabebhyo mokshayishyami. I shall save you from all sinful reactions. When our Krishna conscious devotees go out to beg charity or collect contributions in the form of membership fees, the money thus coming to the Krishna consciousness movement is strictly employed to advance Krishna consciousness all over the world. The Krishna conscious devotees collect the money of others for the service of Krishna and they are satisfied with Krishna's prasadam and whatever he gives them for their maintenance. They do not desire material comforts. However, they go to great pains to engage the possessions of prostitutes or persons who are more or less like prostitutes in the service of the Lord and thus free them from sinful reactions. A Vaishnava Guru accepts money or other contribution, but he does not employ such contributions for sense gratification. A pure Vaishnava thinks himself unfit to help free even one person from the reactions of sinful life. But he engages one's hard-earned money in the service of the Lord and thus frees one from sinful reactions. A Vaishnava Guru is never dependent on the contributions of his disciples. Following the instructions of Haridas Thakur, a pure Vaishnava does not personally take even a single paisa from anyone, but he induces his followers to spend for the service of the Lord whatever possessions they have.
So, here the money is considered Lakshmi.
So here we hear money is considered as Lakshmi.
Lakshmi is possessed by the Supreme Lord.
And Lakshmi is possessed by the Supreme Lord.
So we should use all the funds collected in the service of the Lord. The devotee take the maintenance, receive the maintenance take that. They don't ask anything more.
The devotees receive the maintenance, take the maintenance, but they don't ask for anything more.
They engage everything in Krishna's service.
They engage everything in Krishna's service. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela 3.140.
গুরুগৃহে বৈরাগ্যের সহিত নিরন্তর নাম কীর্তন সেবা মাথা মরি এক বস্ত্রে রহিল সেই ঘরে রাত্রি দিনে 3 লক্ষ নাম গ্রহণ করে
The prostitute shaved her head clean in accordance with Vaishnava principles and stayed in that room wearing only one cloth. Following in the footsteps of her spiritual master, she began chanting the holy name of Krishna 300,000 times a day. She chanted throughout the entire day and night.
So, this prostitute
So this prostitute
had become a pure Vaishnava
had become a pure Vaishnavi
and was chanting the holy name
and was chanting the holy name
and living very austerely. So, like this, she had received the mercy of Mahārāja.
So like this she had received the mercy of Haridas Thakur. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela 3.141.
নাম সাধন ফলে ধৃতি ইন্দ্রিয় জয় ও সিদ্ধি লাভ বা প্রেম উদয় তুলসী সেবন করে চর্বণ উপবাস ইন্দ্রিয় দমন হইল প্রেমের প্রকাশ
She worshipped the tulsi plant, following in the footsteps of her spiritual master. Instead of eating regularly, she chewed whatever food she received as alms. And if nothing was supplied, she would fast. Thus, by eating frugally and fasting, she conquered her senses. And as soon as her senses were controlled, symptoms of love of Godhead appeared in her person.
This process of Krishna consciousness
So this process of Krishna consciousness
is
is
universal.
universal.
And any tradition of the world,
Anyone from any tradition of the world,
if they practice this system of chanting, taking Krishna prasada,
practices this system of chanting and taking Krishna prasadam,
worshipping Tulsi or the deities,
worshipping Tulsi or the deities,
and then they can purify their senses
then they can purify their senses
and awaken their dormant love of Krishna.
and awaken their dormant love of Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela 3.142.
তাহার বৈষ্ণবী প্রতিষ্ঠা ও গুরুত্ব লাভ প্রসিদ্ধ বৈষ্ণবী হইল পরম মহান্তি বড় বড় বৈষ্ণব তার দর্শনেতে জানতি
Thus the prostitute became a celebrated devotee. She became very advanced in spiritual life, and many stalwart Vaishnava would come to see her. Prepared by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, stalwart, highly advanced Vaishnava devotees are not interested in seeing prostitute. But when a prostitute or any other fallen soul becomes Vaishnava, stalwart Vaishnavas are interested in seeing them. Anyone can be turned into a Vaishnava if he or she follows the Vaishnava principles. A devotee who follows these principles is no longer on material platform. Therefore, it is one's strict adherence to the principles that should be considered, not the country of one's birth. Many devotees join our Krishna consciousness movement from Europe and America, but one should not therefore consider them European Vaishnavas or American Vaishnavas. A Vaishnava is a Vaishnava and should therefore given all the due respect due a Vaishnava.
So just as this Vaishnavi was respected by all the Vaishnavas,
Just as this Vaishnavi was respected by all the Vaishnava,
and she became a very advanced spiritual devotee,
and she became a very advanced spiritual devotee,
a Mahanta.
a Mahanta.
Similarly, any man or woman, any culture,
Similarly, any man and woman from any culture,
if they know about Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam,
if they know Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam,
if they follow the process of devotional service,
if they follow the process of devotional service,
they will be recognized as an advanced devotee
they can be recognized as an advanced devotee
or a spiritual master.
or a spiritual master. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela 3.143.
পাপ হইতে শিষ্যের উদ্ধার লাভ ও অপ্রাকৃত সাধু চরিত্র দর্শনে গুরুর মাহাত্ম্য খ্যাতি। বেশ্যার চরিত্র দেখি লোকে চমৎকার, হরিদাসের মহিমা পায়ে করি নমস্কার।
Seeing the sublime character of the prostitute, everyone was astonished. Everyone glorified the influence of Haridas Thakur and offered him obeisances. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, it is said, Phalena parichiyate. One is recognized by the result of his actions. In Vaishnava society, there are many types of Vaishnava. Some of them are called Goswamis, some are called Swamis, some are Prabhus, and some are Prabhupada. One is not recognized, however, simply by such a name. The spiritual master is recognized as an actual guru when it is seen that he has changed the character of his disciples. Haridas Thakur actually changed the character of the professional prostitute. People greatly appreciated this and therefore they all offered obeisances to Haridas Thakur and glorified him.
Similarly, you should appreciate the activities of any spiritual master
So similarly, we should appreciate the activities of any spiritual master
who is able to instill Vaishnava principles in his disciples.
who is able to instill Vaishnava principles in his disciples. Thus ends the chapter entitled, The Prostitute Becomes a Celebrated Devotee, under the section The Glories of Haridas Thakur.
Thank you for watching our videos. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day, and don't forget to like and share our channel.